That's right. Okay, first up.
Okay. We have some expressive ESP32-S2-WROVER modules in stock. These are for some of the developers who are like, I just want to pick up a couple of these. You can, of course, get them from DigiKey in larger quantities. I think if you want a reel, but if you just want one or two, you can pick them up from us. So this is the new chipset that has native USB. It's a single core Tensilica running, I think, 240 megahertz. It's got like the same 32K of RAM. It's got a built-in 2 megabyte QSPI flash. And one nice thing is you notice that this is kind of a large package. This matches the WROVER ESP32 package. That's because it has also some PSRAM. I think it's a couple megabytes. I don't remember how many megabytes of PSRAM. But so that's kind of cool. So this is the decapped version. And it's cool because it's like you get the ESP32-S2 and they do all the passives, the crystal, all the connectors. You can just solder it onto your board. It even has nice labeling on the bottom. I mean, I love this because it's like what pin is what. You can make your footprint and be sure that you get it right. I also like this, tic-tac-toe ground pad here underneath the chip for cooling and ground planing. So these are available, and you can see Scott's video series every Friday. He does a live stream, and he's been porting CircuitPython to the ESP32-S2. Also check out Unexpected Maker, who's been doing tutorials. He's designing a feather based on this chip, and he's doing tutorials on this chip and using Arduino. So this is very NPI, very exciting, up and coming. I think by the holidays, this will be the hot chip that's in all the new devices that people are designing.
Okay, heard it here first. All right, next up.
All right, next up, the Analog Discovery from Digilent. This is kind of neat. We've carried a couple different, USB, pocket oscilloscopes and logic analyzers. And I thought to pick this one up because people had recommended it to me. I like that it has a lot of channels. There's tutorials online, and there's software that runs on every different computer. So it's like Mac, Windows, Linux, even a Raspberry Pi 4. And it can act as a logic analyzer. So I think you have looks like 16 channels of logic inputs, so we can see on the back. So, okay. So what does it say? So on focus. Okay. Differential plus or minus 25 volts. That's really cool because a lot of times the oscilloscopes, they are, 0 to 5 volts only, or plus or minus 50 volts, 5 volts. 100 megasamples per second, 14-bit ADC, 30 megahertz analog signal bandwidth if you use a BNC scope probe. Waveform generator, the DAC version, so there's an ADC and there's also a DAC, so you can generate plus or minus 5 volts up to 25 megahertz signal generator, great for creating custom sine waves, custom sine forms. Dual programmable output supplies, 0 to 5 volts and 0 to negative 5 volts. You can power it with, with an external supply and it'll give you 700 milliamps. 16 sample logic and bus analyzer, 100 megasamples per second, and can decode common protocols like FPI, I2C, UART, and parallel bus, and of course pattern detector. And it sounds like it has a couple other things as well. Maybe I'll safely open this. Although we have maybe the images we have.
Yeah, we have these images will be better than you cracking it
I think
open,
so. Okay, so basically what this is that it's kind of like a lab in a box. It's not super cheap, but the quality is really good because Analog Devices makes like the best ADCs and DACs. Xilinx, probably the FPGA that drives the ADC and DACs and converts them to USB. And then again, that cross-platform software support. For professionals, they can pick up the Logic, which we also stock. But for students, people who want something that's affordable, for $250, $275, you get a lot of capability. And I think you'll be able to use this for a lot of different projects. I think it was designed originally for university school, but I think a lot of makers would also like the Analog Discovery.
Okay, next up.
Okay, next up we have a bunch of breakouts. So first up is the LPS22. So this is like the next gen of the LPS 25. And this one's really tiny. This is like the smallest pressure sensor I think in existence. It's only like 2 millimeters by 2 millimeters. And we put on a STEMMA QT breakout. Hold on. The sizes of things have changed, so I have to focus. So this is the breakout, and you see the little chip in the center. That's the LPS22. So this is a pressure sensor. It can also do precision temperature. This is good for altimeters, drones, or weather sensing, and you can see it's quite sensitive. You know, it's like like it has pretty good repeatability, and it has really good accuracy, precision. So you can do a couple centimeters, I think maybe 10 centimeters of altitude. You can also do 1-point calibration. I think they say they'll give you like 1 centimeter of altitude accuracy. So this sensor, it's also pretty inexpensive. We first saw this on the Arduino Nano Sense, and I was like, what is this tiny sensor? Oh my God, that's so small. So I thought it would make for a great breakout. You get I2C or SPI and an interrupt pin. But I like I2C because, again, you just plug it right into like your STM32F44, and you have an OLED displaying the data right on here.
Okay, next up.
Okay, next up, another ST part. This is the LIS331H. This is a high-range accelerometer. This is kind of the same family as the LIS3DH, which we have on our like circuit playgrounds and a bunch of dev boards as our generic triple-axis accelerometer. The LIS331, however, it does I2C, it does SPI, it has 2 interrupts, all good stuff, and it goes up to 24G. So that's unusual. A lot of accelerometers kind of top out at 16G or maybe 8G. So this one goes up to 24G, so it's good for stuff that moves around a little bit more. I know people use it for like sports sensing, like collisions, automotive, maybe some rocketry, smaller rockets, and cars and stuff. So machines that are moving, which are going to be moving faster than people, might need 32G. So likewise, what's really nice is it has this it has a STEMMA QT connector, so I just focus lock. It is not locking. Okay. You know, I just plug it into the end of this LPS22, and now I have my demo running on the STM32F4, printing out the accelerometer data as well. I can move around. You can see the meters per second square changing on the X, Y, and Z axis.
All right.
All right. So that's another nice accelerometer sensor.
Next up, a sheet of copper.
This sheet of copper, yeah, this is actually something that you requested.
Yeah.
So this sheet of copper, it's the same kind of stuff that's used in our copper tape, but it's like 12 inches by 12 inches. It's kind of massive.
Yeah,
and
this is a big copper sheet.
It's got, yeah, I can't even show them right because it's too big. So let's show it. Let's just show it here.
Yeah.
So it's flexible. It's not like a copper. So you can gently remove it with your fingernail.
Yeah. Art.
Capacitive touch. This is perfect for that because tape it onto your pads. You have to solder it. This you don't have to. You just tape it on. And you can cut this with a vinyl cutter. You can cut it with scissors very easily. And it's just like a gigantic sheet of copper. I don't know. Make whatever you want with it.
Yep.
Cool. It's very conductive.
All right. Next up, you know, over the last 100 days, you know, usually when February rolls around, there's a new Raspberry Pi.
That's right.
And because of the international pause on all things over the last 3 months, this didn't come out until recently.
This was a couple weeks ago, and we already sold out.
We have them.
But we'll get more. So this is the Raspberry Pi 4, which you all know and love, but this version has 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is double the previous largest, which was 4 gigabytes. Is there going to be a 16 gigabyte one? I don't know. I can only guess. But this one upgrades the RAM. So this is basically getting to desktop computer capabilities. So you can use this for machine learning, and you have a ton of RAM. You want to play videos. You don't have to worry about running out of memory. You can definitely browse the internet. I know you can play YouTube videos. It still has all the GPIO, the Wi-Fi, the Ethernet, the 2 HDMI ports. This is like getting to be quite a beast of a computer. You know, all you have to do is grab a micro SD card, plug it in with the latest noobs, and you have a full desktop. You have tons of USB ports. This is actually nicer than like the computer I had in high school for sure. So check it out. Sign up to get notified when we have more in stock. We only got like 100 for our first shipment or so, but we have a lot more on order. And as soon as they're available, we will notify you.
All right, next up.
Okay, next up. We usually ordered these before the shutdown, but they finally came in. This is LED ultra flexible wire strands. And these are kind of interesting, and I want to say what they're good for and what they're not good for. Because if you look, what is happening is between each of these like little glue epoxy dots is 3 wires, and they're coiled, and they are covered with like a non-conductive coating. However, if you flex it or you bend it or you rub it, that coating will come off. So this isn't, even though this is flexible, I always tell people what I recommend people do with flexible stuff is you flex it to get into the position you want. Like let's say you want to make a costume with LEDs on it, but you still have a backing or you have something that's attached to it. It isn't like free flexing, because the risk is that the coating, the thing that, because these are touching, but they're not shorting out. But if you rub them, eventually that coating will come off. Eventually it will crack. So this is good if you want to, maybe you want to do paper crafts, and they're separated and you glue them onto a board, and it's just like a lot easier to glue than LED strips, because you can move everything around, or you want to make a diorama, you want to make a wearable, or you want to just wrap these around your bicycle or what have you for maybe your lawn ornament. But just watch out that you don't scratch or rub or flex these. Like if I sat here and I like mess with these enough, they would eventually short out, because I'm just forcing that coating off. So as long as you're aware of that, these are pretty cool. They're flexible. They're about 4 inches apart. They're just NeoPixel compatibles. They, you can see the chip, but they sort of glow both sides, and you can of course cut them very easily. And comes with 50 NeoPixels per strand, and then of course you can cut them as much as you like. This is the soft wire flexible NeoPixels.
All right. Okay, next up.
Okay, next up, speaking of wires, we have a box of heat shrink. We'd been using these in fab to make tester kits and jigs, and I was like, you know what, we should stock this. It comes in a lot of different colors, and it comes in a nice storage bin, which you can always convince me if it comes with the storage bin. This will last you a long time. It's got, all sorts of like the oversizes and the undersizes for thin wires, and then the coverings. And it's pre-cut, so you can also kind of see how much you have left.
Okay, and then last up to start the show, besides the community and our Adafruit team members and all of you in the chat, is
the AHT20. This is from the same company that actually makes the DHT series sensors, and we've used those a lot, but they're a little finicky, especially on single board computers. What's nice about this sensor is it's got better quality than the DHT22, but it's I2C and it's a lower price. So really, I recommend people, if you were thinking of doing a project with the DHT22, upgrade to the HT20, because you'll get I2C. It's so easy to use. It's 5-volt compatible, 3-volt compatible. We made this little breakout for you. Here it is plugged into our STM32F2 using this plug-and-play cable, displaying the temperature and humidity. It's so easy, and it's a great little sensor. If you want, higher precision, we have that. But if you just need a general purpose temperature humidity sensor, we've got code for Python, Arduino Circuit Pythons. This is great for use with your single board computer, your Raspberry Pi. You can use it with your computer when you use like our Circuit Python adapters, like the FT232H or the MCP221. Works, of course, great with Arduino. So a lovely little sensor. I like it because I think it'll be very popular.
You can elaborate further later in the questions, but why is there a little cutout around that?
Well, we had space because it's a 3 or 5 volt sensor, so I didn't have to use a logic level shifter. I usually do to protect against 5 volt input on like Arduino Uno. And so to isolate this from the rest of the PCB, what that means is that this little area here will heat up faster. So if I put my finger on it, you see it reacts very quickly, because you don't have this gigantic ground plane or this PCB that's insulating it. it absorbs heat. It both absorbs and releases heat a lot easier because the resistance is lower.
Okay. All right. And with that,
New, 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 new.